7. Swamp Ghost. For many years, a plane from Pearl Harbor sat in the middle of the Papua New Guinea jungle. It wasn't found until 1972, when pilots from the Royal Australian Air Force spotted the plane's rusting fuselage as they were conducting a routine flight over the area. The discovery was made by accident, as the team was just going through the motions and wasn't planning to find anything in particular. They were flying over the dense jungle when they noticed something strange poking out of the trees that caught their attention. There was nothing but stretches of green for miles around the plane, so the fuselage stuck out like a sore thumb. The Air Force pilots could have just continued with their routine flight, but instead, they went public with their discovery. Soon after, news of the deserted plane made international headlines. Two scientists took extra interest in the find, David Talichet and Fred Hagen. The men were both intrigued and excited by the aircraft's mysterious origins, and took it upon themselves to plan an expedition to the legendary Swamp Ghost, which is what the locals of Papua New Guinea were calling the plane. Hagen, by profession, was an archaeologist, and he was the type of person to always be searching for the next big thing he could get his hands on. So it's easy to understand why he wanted to be one of the first people to investigate this aircraft. The other man, Talichet, wasn't an archaeologist, but a veteran of World War II who had a particular passion for planes. He'd created a business out of collecting and restoring decommissioned aircraft. And by this point, he was already the proud owner of more than 120 planes. The two men then decided to join forces in order to learn more about the rusting hull in the middle of the Papua New Guinea jungle. Hagen and Talichet also enlisted the help of several locals in order to locate the craft. Oddly enough, upon landing in the country, the men heard legends about the Swamp Ghost from the natives, who claimed the aircraft was cursed. Individuals who went searching for the wreckage had apparently gotten lost in the dense woods, and many of them succumbed to either malaria or madness before making it out alive. But luckily, Hagen and Talichet escaped this fate and made it to the plane without incident. What they learned from the wreckage was that the B-17 bomber plane had served in World War II, which didn't come as a surprise because Papua New Guinea was a major war hotbed during the conflict. And amazingly, the aircraft was remarkably intact, prompting the men to begin salvaging it. They began this endeavor in the 1980s, but it took them decades to complete the task. They also discovered that this aircraft had been involved in one of the earliest bombing missions during the war, which took place just one day before the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. In 2006, the men completed their salvaging operation, and 4 years later, they received permission to return the plane to the US. It's now safely stored at a museum in Hawaii, and plans are in the works to restore it to its former glory. 6. The eighth wonder of the world. Located near the town of Dambulla in the northern Matale district of Sri Lanka, is the ancient rock fortress and palace of Sigiriya. Built under the reign of King Kashyapa between 473 and 495 AD, this site majestically stands 660 feet, 201 meters on the edge of a tall mountain. The fortress's name, Sigiriya, means the Lion's Rock, and in order to reach it, you have to climb 1,200 steps. In total, it takes around 3 hours to visit and come back from this massive and ancient creation. Surrounded by a dense jungle in the central province of Sri Lanka, King Kashyapa ordered the construction of his new seat of administration. Overlooking a vast landscape, the palace was built high above the king's subjects, who all lived within the 30 cave shelters littering the base of the Great Rock. According to archaeologist Professor Senarath Paranavithana, the site reflects the sensuousness of a pleasure-loving king who apparently modeled the city after the legendary Alakamanda of god Kuvera. Roman and Indian pottery and coins originating from the Sasanian dynasty of Iran were discovered within the Sigiriya rock fortress, indicating that there was trade happening between the people who lived here and other foreign countries. But by the 6th and 7th centuries AD, the city was no longer considered a place of political importance, and instead became a home for Buddhist monks. These new inhabitants of Sigiriya then continued to develop the site, improving existing cave shelters and constructing new shrines until the 12th and 13th centuries AD. In the centuries that followed, the city was completely abandoned. It wasn't until the 19th century that it was inhabited again, converted into a military outpost by the kings of Kandy. Then, in 1832, brought Sigiriya back into historical focus, and archaeological activities commenced at the site starting in 1894. Headed by H.C.P. Bell, things were then later taken over by the Central Cultural Fund, which continues to explore and excavate the site to this day. 5. German Hideout. Researchers from the La Plata Museum and the University of Buenos Aires discovered the ruins of what's believed to be a secret Nazi hideout in the Argentinian jungle, near the country's border with Paraguay. According to Daniel Shavelson, the team's leader, they uncovered the site years before, but they only started to investigate the German safe house in detail in March 2015. Allegedly, throughout World War II, the Nazis carried out covert building projects in hard-to-find places like mountains, deserts, and jungles. This hideout in particular was located in Hideout Park, an area filled with trees, rock cliffs, and bodies of water. These safe houses were built to serve as shelters for certain high-ranking Nazi officials in the event of defeat. Over a 15-day period, the research team discovered a stone quarry, 3 buildings, and various German artifacts from the war. Among the relics were shards of a porcelain plate, coins that were minted between 1938 and 1944, and Nazi symbols that had been carved into the walls of the bunker. When the hideout was first located, it was covered in moss and thick vines, and they had to use machetes and knives to reach the actual structure. But Shavelson doesn't believe the safe house was ever truly inhabited by Nazis, since, after all, it was never needed. Between 1946 and 1955, under orders from the former president of Argentina, Juan Perón, thousands of Nazis were welcomed into the country, leaving bases like the one found in Hideout Park obsolete. 4. The Stone Head of Guatemala. More than half a century ago, a giant stone head was discovered hidden deep in the jungles of Guatemala. The face had thin lips, a large nose, and other detailed features, and its gaze was directed up toward the sky. Oddly enough, the face seemed to depict Caucasian features that weren't consistent with any of the known pre-Hispanic races of Central America. The find quickly attracted global attention, but just as rapidly, the stone face slipped away and was forgotten about by history. Word of the discovery first emerged after Doctor of Philosophy Oscar Rafael Padilla Lara received a photo of the head, along with a description of the image, in 1987. The explanation of the stone face said it was first photographed in the 1950s by the man who owned the land where the head was located. This picture was then printed in an Ancient Skies magazine article, quickly catching the attention of well-known author and explorer David Hatcher Childress, who subsequently sought to learn more about the bizarre stone head. Thirsty for understanding, Childress tracked down Dr. Lara and found out that the face was situated on a property owned by the Biner family of Guatemala. When he flew to the country, he learned from locals that the head was located just 6 miles, 10 kilometers, from a tiny village in the town of La de Maracrac. Unfortunately, though, by the time Childress got there, the whole site had been destroyed. Apparently, around 10 years before he arrived, the area had been decimated by revolutionaries, and the stone face had been used for target practice, leaving it completely disfigured. Before leaving the site defeated, Childress measured the head's height, finding that it stood between 13 and 19 feet, 4 and 6 meters tall. That was, however, the only visit the explorer made to the area. This mysterious stone face has since been the topic of heated debates, with some claiming that it definitely proves that aliens made contact with ancient civilizations. But of course, this theory has never been confirmed. Who do you think was responsible for creating the massive stone head in Guatemala? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. 3. Shanae Timpishka. Shanae Timpishka is a tributary of the Amazon River, located in the province of Puerto Inca in Peru. It's situated near Mayantuyacu, an ancient pilgrimage area, and it's known as the only boiling river in the whole world. This stream has a depth of around 20 feet, 6 meters, and a width of about 82 feet, 25 meters. And it flows for over 4 miles, 6.4 kilometers throughout the dense jungle, maintaining a temperature in certain areas of 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius. This intense heat is extremely effective in killing any form of life, including human beings, in a matter of minutes. This boiling river was thought to be nothing but a legend by most scholars until 2011, when they were forced to change their minds after a young Peruvian named Andres Russo decided to find the mysterious stream for himself. Following a map given to him by some of his colleagues and guided by tales told to him by his grandfather, Russo managed to locate the boiling river, proving once and for all that it truly does exist. This discovery led to another, pointing to the existence of a winding underground geothermal network that was capable of raising the boiling water to the river's surface. But oddly enough, there was an absence of volcanoes in the area, which would have explained this bizarre phenomenon. For a long time, this place remained unspoiled and intact, but today it's threatened by the exploitation of natural resources and wild deforestation. One can only hope that someday soon, this place will fall under the protection of UNESCO or some other specialized agency that works to protect amazing natural wonders like Shanae Timpishka. 2. Evidence of alien life. On December 29, 2012, a meteorite with a green and yellow flame lit up the sky over Sri Lanka. It fell to the earth and landed in the middle of the rainforest near the city of Polonnaruwa. But strangely, scientists weren't interested in the meteorite itself, but in the fossilized biological structures they found within it. According to an international team of researchers from Sri Lanka, Britain, and the US, led by Jamie Wallace from Cardiff University, microscopic diatoms, a type of algae, were discovered in pieces of the space rock. Finding algae in a meteorite may not sound all that interesting, but this find seemed to support the theory of panspermia. This theory claims that asteroids and other planetoids spread small tidbits of life as they travel through the vast unexplored regions of space. Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe, co-leader of the study, seems to believe that this proves that we aren't alone in the universe, and he thinks that this meteorite provides strong evidence that human life began outside of Earth. There are, however, others who find this claim to be outrageous. They argue that this space rock probably became contaminated with algae that originated on Earth after it collided with the surface of the planet. But Wickramasinghe shuts down these claims, since there were some organisms found within the meteorite that have yet to be identified. If what Wallace and Wickramasinghe believe is true, this could be one of the biggest scientific breakthroughs of the century. 1. The Lost City of Giants. In 2012, something incredible was discovered in the thick jungles of Ecuador, the remnants of a humongous structure measuring 260 feet, 79 meters tall, and 260 feet, 79 meters wide were located by a team of explorers in a remote area of the Amazon. Researcher and author Bruce Fenton believes the complex may be the legendary Lost City of the Giants, as massive tools that only could have been wielded by ginormous humans were found in the vicinity. Legends told by the region's natives speak of a bizarre race of giant humans that once inhabited the area, and several things discovered at the site make this theory even more believable. One structure in particular, with a pyramidal shape, measures 262 feet tall, 80 meters, and has steeply inclined walls. It's made up of large stone blocks, all of which are estimated to weigh roughly 2 tons. And according to French-American archaeologist Benoit Duvernoy, many of these stones are perfectly aligned with one another and have sharp edges, seemingly sculpted by human hands. Scattered throughout the site were several bizarre artifacts of pottery and stone, and many of these objects appear to be tools, some of which were extremely heavy and large. The claim that this site was once inhabited by giants was brought on by the discovery of these massive stone tools. Initially, Fenton and his colleagues stated that this site was nothing but a natural formation, but they've since changed their tune. Among the giant tools, there were also discoveries of large stones with perfectly circular holes drilled right through the middle of them, suggesting further that this place was once shaped by human hands, possibly even giants. Would you rather stumble upon the remains of an ancient settlement or discover a hidden hot spring in the middle of the jungle that only you know how to get to? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.